What is going on, fight fans? It is Tuesday night. It's 10:15, and we are back in the house. Fight Club 215 is here for another episode with myself and my main man, Joey the Hitman Wood. What is going on, Joey? How you tonight, man?
I'm good. I'm good. We had a great action-packed weekend. Some huge events, some huge outcomes, some huge upsets.
Yeah,
So it's great weekend if you're a combat sport fan. I'm ready to jump in and talk about it.
definitely, man. Listen, I mean, like I said, this just like you said, this weekend was action packed. We had WBO boxing heavyweight championship. Oh, not heavyweight, but a legend in the game, Canelo versus Dimitri Bivol, UFC 274. And man, after the UFC fight, there was some serious shit went down. Talking all these call outs and stuff, which we'll definitely get into. I know you're hyped about it because there was one name mentioned called Conor McGregor, so I know you're hyped about that, Joey.
Yeah,
So
of course. I
we'll
mean, I'm a huge McGregor fan, but I'm a UFC fan overall. So
exactly. That's why I love it, man. We talk at Rio here. We have our favorites, but you know what? We don't let that get in the way because we look at it inside the octagon. When you're in the octagon, man, anything can happen. One punch, everybody has a puncher's chance in any event, man. So let's get into this, Joey. Let's get into real quick. Recap the Canelo Dimitri Bivol fight. I believe, Joey, I don't know who said this on our last episode, but I think as a betting man, I think somebody on this episode, one of us two, and I forgot who it was, but they actually took Dimitri Bivol to win this outright. I don't know who it was, Joey. That
yeah,
might
we're
have
not
been
gonna
you.
mention any names. We're not gonna
Yeah,
mention
I don't
any
want to
names
mention
here.
names, but
Did you actually bet on that? Did you actually end up
yeah, yeah,
putting
yeah. I
money on that?
bet 250 on it.
Did you?
Yeah, I ended up
Would you end
walking
up
away
winning on that?
844.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was plus 400. So I mean, you had to go with it basically. So I really wanted. I knew it was going to go to distance, but I didn't. It was plus 1,000 for a knockout, but I didn't think there was going to be a knockout either way. I thought it was going to be like we talked about last episode. If it goes a distance on Cinco de Mayo, how can you not give it to
Yeah.
Canelo though? But this was just a fight where Dimitri dominated his fight from beginning to end. There was a couple close rounds where Canelo held his own, got some punches in, but Dimitri's jabs, his combinations were just something that Canelo has not seen. I mean, was it the division move, or what do you think it was, Joey?
I think, and Canelo hinted at this a little bit during the post-fight press conference and stuff. He was saying that he felt like 168 was probably the weight where he felt the best at. He was
Right.
mentioning how he felt a little bit sluggish in those later rounds and felt a little bit like his energy was depleted and he wasn't really there. I mean, that happens when you're putting on all that mass and
Oh
not
yeah.
even that. You're leaning on each other and you have the bigger guys leaning on you. That weighs on you. That really depletes your tank. So I think it's definitely the move up. Just overall the bigger guy he's fighting, but on top of that, the weight for himself. But
Mhm.
also I just think it's Canelo's style against
Right.
this guy. A lot of times Canelo was just sitting back on the ropes. I mean, we've seen him do that plenty of times before. Um, but Bivol just looked to have even the power advantage, which is shocking to say with Canelo. It looked like Bivol's punches were hurting a little more uh, Canelo, whereas Canelo wasn't doing as much damage against Bivol. I mean, Canelo had some shots there, but it
Mhm.
for the most part looked like Bivol's punches overall were doing a little more damage. Not saying either one of them were hurt at all in the fight, but it just seemed like to me watching the fight that this was probably one of the first fights that I can remember with Canelo fighting at this weight class where he truly looked much smaller, like, not even height-wise, just
Right.
mass size. Like, I mean, that one fight he fought the dude was what, like 6'8", 6'5", like, dude was
Exactly.
huge, but
Mhm.
Canelo still looked like the bigger guy. This one, he
Right.
just looked like a little boy fighting a man almost, like, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, but
It does. I mean, exactly. I mean, he was outmatched. I mean, you're talking size here. It's just like, a giant going against a David versus Goliath look like inside the ring, not on paper, but in the ring, it did look like that. And I believe it was the 10th round where Dimitri gave him a couple body shots and the headshot, and Canelo actually bodied him up. And then he wrapped him up and like lifted him up for a WWE event.
oh,
Like
yeah, I remember that.
that told me right there, like, dude is getting aggravated right now. He is out of his game right now. He knows he's losing, and there's only one way to win this, and it's going to be a knockout. And Dimitri just not did not let him get close, not even a body to the head, nothing. It was just an outmatched fight, Joey. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Canelo on Cinco de Mayo, his day, and it was just insane. But I
I mean,
mean,
everything. His day, his streaming service, I mean, he's been with Dizon forever, like, everything was in Canelo's favor, and somehow
Hmm.
The boxing judges got it right. We don't normally say that when it comes to boxing, but they got it
Right.
right. They they got it right. I mean, I was at a party when this happened, and
Mhm.
the whole party was like Canelo lost, Canelo lost. I was like, there's no way. At this point, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bit gone. So I think
Yeah,
it was actually
not to cut you off, Joey, real quick, but I'm not, I've known you for years and years, Joey, but I have a picture of you, on this night. I don't know what, I think it was wig night because your sister's Mackenzie's was her birthday. But next week, all you viewers out there, I am definitely going to post this picture live on here of Joey wearing a wig. He looked like that dude. What's his name out there?
I was going for Tiger King, Joe Exotic.
You look exactly like him. Yes, you did, Joey. And I have that picture, and I'm going to show it on here next week. But I'm not going to do it tonight because we have so much to talk about,
Yeah,
Joey.
I
But
had someone ask me if that was my real hair at Xfinity. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
oh my God, yeah, I'm glad you had a great time. But man, that fight was insane. It's
Yeah, I was shocked. I had to look it up because I'm a huge Canelo fan,
right.
all the way back from the Mayweather days, and so I thought my brother's a Triple G's fan, so we always battle with that. So when he told me that, I was like, "You're lying!" Like I wasn't even worried about that fight. And when I looked it up, he lost unanimous. I thought for sure knockout, and then when I looked it up and saw unanimous decision, and I watched it back the next day. I was
Mhm.
just like, I mean, it makes sense now. Like that fight, just it looked like I don't know, and you hate to say because Canelo prepares so well,
Right.
always, but it
Yes.
almost looked like he wasn't prepared.
Right. Right. Hmm.
From everything I'm hearing too, and it makes sense. Like there was rumors that Triple G was supposed to be in the crowd. After Canelo beat Bivol, Triple G was going to get in the cage and was going to set up a third fight where he was going to
Wow.
go back down a weight class and fight Triple G's.
Wow.
Um,
So you think it
for
was more of
some
a mind game to Canelo, basically? He was just underprepared, which is not like him at all. Do you think he just went into this fight saying, you know what, I can just overmatch this guy. It's gonna I can take it to a decision, and knowing that the past history of the refs, I'm gonna get it on my day here, my brand basically here, and you're not gonna take it away from me. And then we'll talk about the next fight. Do you think maybe that's what happened with this guy?
I think I played a little bit of a part. I mean, you can never say that with Canelo. He's great champion boxer,
Right.
he's
Right.
one of the best in the world. So you hate to say that about someone. But when you're flying the guy in to sit ringside and you're already in talks and the
Yes.
the whole week leading up to it, the whole repeat is win and the fight happens. All you have to do is win. All you have to do is win.
Right.
I think that creeps in your head a little bit and it turns into when I win, not if I win. And I think that might
Yeah.
have been a little bit because there was just too many times where later in the fight, and I know he was gassed, but he was just on the ropes too much.
He
And
was.
then when asked, "Oh, like, is there gonna be a rematch?" Canelo's like, "I don't know, 168 is my best weight." To me, that seemed like it was a defeated man who just wants to move on. And
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, you were defeated, so hey, do you want a rematch now? I think I'm better at this class. He admitted that, what, he was outfought and he was overmatched. So hey, you know what? I give him his props. I got to go to where I belong. But
yeah,
I do think you're right about the head games. I think that Dimitri, he settled inside the ring. He controlled the inside the ring. Canelo just stayed on the ropes way too much. It's not Canelo. I don't
yeah.
know. Just like you said, I don't know if he was looking for the next fight, or I don't really know. But mind games go a long way with this one. And man, I don't know. What do you think's next for Canelo? He's just going to drop back down and
I
just
think they're
run.
gonna do Triple Gs. I think, I what else does he have to prove, honestly?
Right, right.
Uh, I don't think he's gonna stay up at 175. I just
No.
don't see it. Um I think the Triple G's fight makes him the most money at this stage in Canelo's career. I mean, he's been fighting professional since what he was, I believe, 13,
Right.
in Mexico and stuff. So he has years of trauma on that body. So why not
Mhm.
just go for the money fight at this point? Uh, but it was just shocking to me. Um, did that happen? Was the Saunders fight? Was that at this weight class also? Was Saunders a bigger man when
I'm
that
not
fight
even sure.
happened too?
I think it was the same class weight. I believe it was,
'Cause I
Joey.
mean, Canelo didn't look as sharp in that fight also. I mean,
Right.
he caught him with that punch that kinda ended, but Saunders was gaining ground in that fight also. Like Canelo, I think he's right when he says those lower weight classes are his better division, uh, because there's weight classes for a reason.
Right.
You're meant to fight in these weight classes, and I know these fighters, they gain these weight back after weight cuts, and they go up to weight, but there's weight classes for a reason. and I
Yeah.
think that showed this weekend.
And anybody out there doesn't believe a weight class division does matter, look what happened, man. Canelo runs the division, and look what he happens. That one division up, what is it, like 15, 20 pounds, Joey, if that? Moving up
It's not even that because he was 168 and the other one's 175,
7
less than
pounds,
10 pounds. But it's
7
not 10 pounds when you're talking about rehydrating. Some of these
right,
guys put on 20 pounds after weight class, after weight
yeah,
cut.
and that tells you right there that little weight increase goes a long way. I mean, your cardio, what you're used to for 15 rounds, that goes a long way as well, and I think he was overmatched from round 1 to the very end of it, and it showed. I mean, just like you said, Joe, with his last, I don't wanna say inspirational talk, but he was a man defeated after the fight. He admitted it. "I'm going back down where I belong to the 168 division, and that's where I wanna be because I'm clearly outmatched right here, Joey." That's what I saw.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there was some more some more action out there. UFC 274, Joey. Oh my god. Before we get into these fights, Joey, let me pop this video on here. Man, let me tell you, Joey, this
It's hard to
video
watch. It's hard to
is
watch.
it's actually, you're right, Joey. It is 100% hard to watch, but for all you people out there who didn't get to see this event, I want you guys to take a look at this. I'm just going to let you know now that your jaw and your face might hurt after seeing this video, but take a look at this before we get into it, Joey.
Here it is. Right up the middle. Watch this kick. Oh, it's all hit and then choke. Oh my goodness. You saw it, Joe. You can see Chandler's eyes going up. And he knew that thing would move himself. Anderson did something like this to Bivol. This is not like this. Anderson was more of a snap kick. This was like a sucker kick. Yeah, right to the chin. On your first little field goal. I don't get another front kick to the face. It's a field goal to the face. Chandler.
Joey, I got to go to the bathroom. My jaw is actually hurting from that kick, man. I still feel that watching it live, Joey. What? I'm out of words, Joey. What did you see on
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
Joey?
I love
Man,
UFC, I love MMA, I love combat sports. You love to see the big knockout, and you love to see it in that fashion, but at the same time, the human aspect is still there, and you still
yeah,
that just the his lights were out, and then the way he fell forward and that canvas, I don't know if anyone's been in there, that canvas is not padded. So when they're falling down face first on that canvas, that's doing damage also, and just
oh yeah.
that overall, that just
I mean, when you look at it, watching it live, you see it, and you're so hyped up, and you see a massive, front kick, and you're thinking, "Oh my god, he has stunned him. He's done. He's out." But then when they show the replay, like that replay, Joey, when he went down, he was cold, knocked out. Like I'm talking knocked out. If he would have landed just a little bit, maybe 2 inches off that neck, he could have been paralyzed from that fall, Joey.
yeah, it
And his
was
body was numb at that time.
it was
No,
bad. I mean, watching that back, the way his chin, like, it,
yes,
like, bent up, it was just it's hard to explain, I mean, the last and then you correct me if you remember anything previously, the last time I remember a front kick like that kinda put someone lights out was, Anderson Silva versus I believe it was Vitor.
yeah, yeah.
That front kick put him out,
It
but
gave you
that's
like
just
it gave him like the same feeling where the jaw just went numb and then the body followed. It was just like
yeah.
the kick, boom, you're down, smelling salt comes out, and hopefully you're okay. But like you said, as a fan, dude, we love the contact, but after the fight, you think, "Oh my God, did Tony Ferguson get up from this? Is he okay?" Because you're sitting there, seeing Chandler celebrate. Then all of a sudden, you see Ferguson still laying there. You feel bad for the family or the fans of him, but it's a contact sport. These people know what they pay, they get
Yeah.
into. Joey. But man, oh my God, Joe, you
Especially
what?
Ferguson, he's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
those players that puts on wars for everyone, he's always one that goes in there, goes out on his shield and stuff, so he's just a huge fan favorite regardless of who you like,
mhm,
who you support in the UFC. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they don't like Ferguson. He's just
right,
the type of dude that everyone can cheer for because you're gonna get a good fight out of him, win, lose, or
ex-
draw. To see that end like that, especially after his last now 4th fight lost in a row. Don't get me wrong, he's fought top of the tops,
mhm,
but just the ugly fashions he's been losing these fights, it's like,
I agree. I agree.
that hurts, and then Chandler, I mean, he gets a huge win, over a big name,
Mhm,
so that division just kinda getting real cloudy right now, especially what happened with weigh-ins and stuff with Oliveira, it's just like, what do you do
yes,
now at that division? It's just there's a big question mark now.
yeah, we'll definitely get into that division because that division is just a free for all. Like who's
Yeah.
going to step up next? We'll talk about. I got my opinion who's going to step up next, but let me ask you, Joey, is Ferguson done, Joey, or not? What do you think?
I
4 in a row, Joey. It's been 4 in a row now.
It's 4 in a row, but it's still Tony Ferguson. Any other UFC fighter, he doesn't get that 4th fight. I wouldn't say
Right.
any other. No, let me walk that back. Not any other, because big name fighters, they're gonna get continued chances, but
Mhm.
middle of the tier fighter wouldn't get that 4th chance. They usually it's 3 and done in the UFC. Um, but let's not get mistaken here. Tony Ferguson was the 3rd fight on the card, even
Exactly.
after 3 losses.
Yeah,
Even after
exactly.
3 losses, he was still the 3rd fight on the card, still
Agree.
fighting a top 5 contender.
Agree.
So it's hard to say he'll be done. I hope the UFC maybe steps in, tries to talking to him. Maybe, hey, take some time off. Maybe just let your body heal a little bit, because he's
Right.
had some beat downs. Uh,
Yep.
but from his standpoint, I think he's already tweeted it since then that he'll be back. He's not done. Uh, so I don't think he's done human. I
Mhm.
hope he would be done. Like I said, he's gotten beat down. But as a person, knowing who Tony Ferguson is, and he's a strange dude. He's a little awkward, a little unorthodox. There's no way he's throwing in the towel like that.
No, I hope not. I mean, just like you said earlier, he's a fighter that we if you love him, you love him. You hate him. But hate is a strong word. I can't hate Tony Ferguson because he's the one dude. Or if Dana White calls him and says, "Hey, I got a fighter backed out in a week. You want to jump in?" That dude will jump in no matter what. He's one of those fighters that takes it to the octagon and says, "You know what? It's me for me and the fans out there." It's one of those guys that's very far and few that want to do this for the reasons of the UFC love. And to me, Tony Ferguson's one of those dudes that carry that a long way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He's a fan favorite, and for a reason.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Joey, there was another fight out there, man. I, I don't know what we can say about this, Joey. I mean, going into this, Joey, we're both betting people, and I took Namajunas on this fight. And I'm thinking about him like, okay, you know what? These are two great fighters. And good, Joey, you gonna step away for a second? Good.
1 second, I'm sorry.
Good. Yeah, but we're talking about the Namajunas fight, Esperanza fight, but this fight was it was a fight that it you thought it was gonna be something. This fight was the most probably, to me, the most boring fight I've ever seen in my life. A complete
Yeah. No,
5-round fight for a championship. And Joey, this goes without saying, I didn't know a takedown, 1 or 2 possible takedowns could win you a championship. That's the way I saw this fight, Joey.
I literally think I don't envy the judges at all in the situation. I know for as much as we talk crap about judging
Right,
and
right, right.
scorecards across the board, I don't know how you score this one,
Right.
because it's very hard to give the belt back to Rose after that performance.
Mhm.
Um, I almost felt like uh, Carla got it just for the simple fact of she attempted more in the
The word
fight
I
than
like that
Rose.
word. I like that word.
Not even did more, just at least attempted more in the fight.
Yes.
Um, I think they
Yes.
gave it to her just for that on sheer fact alone, because I just I don't know. I mean, it was funny. I was watching some like interviews yesterday and today about that fight. And like they were asking like O'Malley about the fight. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with Ariel Hawani.
I've heard of it, yeah.
He asked about the fight, and the guy just kind of froze
Mhm.
and like didn't move or say anything. And Ariel was like, did our connection go bad?" He was like, "No, that's what I felt about the fight." He's like
Wow.
just didn't say anything. Like, he didn't move or anything. He was like, "What do you think about the fight?" Just like this. And then they said, "Did your connection freeze?" He was like, "No, I felt about the fight."
Well, he wasn't lying. I mean, there was I mean, I would love to put a video on here, but I can't really go to the video on this and just show you what there was a clear fight win. There was
Maybe the
nothing.
takedown attempt.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. That's why I said maybe the takedown attempt. I never knew a takedown attempt or the word you said, attempt. That attempt, more attempts would win you a championship. To me, and just like I said, Joey, you said it. I envy the judges on this because how
Yeah.
do you score this? We're always on their ass about, oh, what fight did you watch? It was clear this, clear that, but this fight here, you're actually the one, the judge saying, I don't see anything. What do we do? What do we do? Do
Yeah.
we just give it to the champion or do we use
I'm
that
surprised they
word?
didn't make it a draw.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Like I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll go to like a draw here, a no decision, and just think like run it back maybe, in 2 or 3 months, run it back maybe. But
I'm good.
this fight was I was at a loss for words, especially being the co-main event. Like, did you hear the boos in this fight, Joey? I mean, the fans were just like, I want my money back.
And the first one was pretty good. Their first fight was
Oh,
good. I mean, the
yeah.
Ultimate Fighter finale was a good fight. So I was
Mhm.
expecting a good fight here. Like, I just don't understand Rose's game plan. Like,
Right.
we knew Carla was gonna go in there. She was gonna throw
Mhm.
some shots and attempt takedowns, which is what she
Right.
did. But I thought Rose had the clear advantage on the feet.
Yes.
So for her not to engage, like, it almost seemed like she was so fearful of defending a takedown, 'cause did she think she couldn't stop the takedown? Like, that's the only thing I could think of as to why she didn't engage that much, because it just made no sense, the game plan. And then her corner, like, what were they telling her the whole time? Like, "You're doing
Yeah.
a good job?" Like, I just don't understand, like, the game plan overall was just so mind numbing.
Mhm. Like, I would love to be like a fly on the wall in that corner of, Rose Namajunas. What are they telling her? You're like, "Okay, you got this fight. Just keep doing what you're doing. Dance around, avoid her. You know she's gonna take you down. Avoid it. You can win this fight." But
Yeah.
what's weird is after the end of the fight, Joey, Namajunas jumped up like she ran around the ring like she did enough to win the fight. Like, in your mind, do you really think you did something to win this fight or retain the belt? No, you didn't. You just clearly ran away from Esperanza. That's all you did.
I'm wondering if Rose maybe had some kind of undisclosed injury that we're not knowing about beforehand, because I mean, she's fought some killers,
Right.
and she's engaged with them. She initiated the contact. She's initiated
Yeah.
the striking. So for this, where Carla is not as a great of a striker as who she's fought in the past, for her just to kind of stay on the defense the whole time. Like
Right.
I said, I get she has great wrestling, but to just not initiate at all, just is so, like, I just don't understand.
Yeah. Now, how
And I
far do
don't
you?
wanna see part 3. I don't wanna see a number
No, I
3.
don't either. I mean, if we say that now, but part three might be the most incredible fight in the world. Totally opposite. We don't know
Dana's not
that.
gonna give it a chance, though. Dana's
They
never gonna
shouldn't.
give it a shot.
They shouldn't. Now, Joey, what do you think? Do you think Zhang Weili jumps in or not? You think she gets a title shot now?
I think for some reason, I feel like she has an opponent, and I'll have to check on that,
Okay.
but I think she already announced an opponent.
Mhm.
Um, and typically, you would say run it back with the champion. When champion loses the belt, you run it back, but
Right.
it's so hard to say run it back after that one, unless they have a card where they maybe already have 2 title fights, or
Right.
a
Right.
great main event and co-main event where they could put this as a 3rd fight on the card. I
Mhm.
just don't see how you can run it back and expect to sell tickets.
I
Well,
agree.
not say tickets, because UFC sells out wherever they go, but expect to sell pay-per-views.
I agree with that one, 100%. I mean, the if anybody didn't watch this UFC event, there was 2 fights that you definitely wanted to see. I was looking for the Cowboy fight, but when you text me, said it was, postponed because of the, Cerrone thing, but I was kinda bummed about that, and I'm
They
thinking like, "Okay,
rebooked it, though. They rebooked it today, so that's good. We'll still see the fight.
we get to see that. We can definitely talk about Cowboy on that show." But, I mean, you look at it, top 3 fights. This card was incredible. I was waiting for this fight. After the first one, we just seen that front kick. I was in amazement thinking like, "Oh my god, what the hell could get better this night?" We got Nama Nunez versus Esparza next for the championship. Let's get it. Here we go. I had my drinks ready. I'm sitting here under the big screen watching it, and I was just like so disappointed. But let's get done with that one, Joey. But before we get into
I
that,
just
let me.
wanna I just wanna comment one more thing on that fight, just to feel like we're not, like, tearing it down, but I watched that fight twice. I watched it once during the card,
Mhm.
and then I watched it back again just by itself, because I thought maybe we
You
were
missed
all
that one.
we were not even that. I felt like maybe we were giving it a hard time already because of the spectacular fashion of the fight before it. That we were all so high from that huge knockout that it was
Yeah,
gonna be
all right.
hard to top
Yeah,
that. So we
our
were giving it a hard time
expectations.
already. But I
Our
watched
ex-
back a second time, and I thought the same thing.
Did you lose connection, Joey? One of those things, right? Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah, no, like, I watched it back second time without not thinking about the previous fight, not thinking about the
Yeah,
knockout we just saw. Because sometimes when you're on the highs, it's kinda hard to keep it up there, so you're already thinking, "Oh, this isn't as good as the previous fight." So I watched it back without having that in my mindset, and it was still just a hard fight to watch.
I agree 100%. I mean, it was probably one of the worst fights I've ever really seen. A lot of people were comparing it to like a Khabib fight, who just takes you to the ground and just mauls you on the ground. He
That's
wants
still action.
it is action. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people compared that. A lot of my friends were talking about like, oh, it's like a Khabib fight. I was saying, dude, this wasn't a Khabib fight. Khabib goes on the ground. He knows what he can do. He beats you there.
And
But
you know
this
what he can do, and you still can't stop it.
exactly. He's going to tell you what he's going to do. He's like, I'm going to take you on the ground. You ain't getting back up. And here's the deal. This fight here was just the most boring fight where, like you said, maybe there was an undisclosed injury from Rose out there. We don't know that. I'd like to see like a report on it or something because this was totally unlike her. This was totally, you knew Esperanza was going to take her to the ground, Joe. We knew that. But all you got to do is defend it and then get a couple body shots in. You can, your stand up game's insane. But where was that even at? There was nothing, nothing at all.
Yeah, I think she was just too fearful of taking down. That's the only explanation I have, that she was
Mhm.
so fearful of being taken down and put on her back, and then the
Yeah.
ground and pound. But like I said, she's fought killers before, and she's
Yeah.
initiated the stand up. She's initiated the grappling, and just to see that in this one, it's not taking anything away from Carla. She's
Right.
a great fighter. Now she's champion, but I just don't get it.
I don't either. I mean, even when she went down, Nama Nunes got back up. I mean, it took a little bit of time, but she reversed the situation. So we know she can get up, but maybe it was a mind battle. Maybe we don't know what the hell happened. Maybe she was thinking, "Hey, I'll be saved by the judges. I did enough." Looking at the other fights, you don't leave anything in the UFC to a
Yeah.
judge's
And speaking of mind battles, she's had like a little bit of like some psychological issues. So who knows if that played a part in it also. I
right,
mean,
right.
she was, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when McGregor threw that dolly through the bus window and stuff when him and Khabib had their battles.
Oh, she was involved in
Um,
it.
she was on the bus that the dolly
Oh,
was through in the window, and it was actually, I think, her window that shattered
okay.
caused her to like get some cuts and stuff. And that she's actually gone on record saying that that's caused some like
Trauma.
post-traumatic stress
Yeah,
disorder, like
really? Wow.
yeah, like that's caused her some issue because it was such a traumatic experience for her. She's actually been on record saying that. So who
Hmm.
knows if not saying that, but
Right.
she's
Right.
maybe something like that played a part in it and something she just had to get through. But yeah, it's just very head scratching.
It is. I mean, I definitely don't want to see another round. I don't want to see the trilogy. I do not want to see that happen. We it's speculation and it might happen. Who knows? But it could be a 180 fight, Joey. But I don't want to see it. I really don't. I want to see someone else step in, do what? Say, hey, this is the UFC. We got to bring the next man. Next in this case, the next woman up. But let's get into the main event, Joey. I got a little video here, Joey. We'll take a look at this so everybody out there didn't get to see it. We'll put a little video up here. Take a look at this video,
Sounds good.
everybody.
Yep, but look, Joe, watch. Watch right here. He gets hurt bad. He gets hurt bad with that uppercut. Goes back. And because he's so good on the ground. And there's the right hand. They don't jump on him. They don't jump on him because he's so good on the ground. Right. But then when he gets up, he starts going forward. Right hand man's just drop. And his ability to recognize her, he jumps right to jiu-jitsu. Right? He doesn't go start throwing all kinds of punches. No. He jumps right to jiu-jitsu. Well, jiu-jitsu is so solid. And look how he transitions from the triangle. He had a triangle at one point in time into his back. Another submission. And this spear naked choke. And he adjusts. Watch. Well, Justin beats the hand initially. Yep. And then he adjusts the second time. And once he hides that lock. Once he hides that lock, it's over. And Justin was asleep. He tapped right before he tapped. I think he tapped and then went out. Oh, yeah. I mean, the squeeze this dude is generating is unbelievable. Such good technique. But just the way that he recognizes, I'm going to get this dude. As soon as I get you, like, if you're hurt and he's like chasing submissions, you're
Well, the main event, it didn't have a letdown. We'll talk about this for a while, Joey, because we all know the situation last week. We explained. Oliveria misses weight by half a pound. There was speculation the scale wasn't calibrated. We, the the UFC came out and said you're totally wrong. It was calibrated. I went into this fight, Joey, thinking that Oliveira would win hands down, but was it their mindset or that head game saying, you know what, I already was stripped by the title. So what do? I know I'm going to get another shot at this eventually. Does he come out and play a little bit, to himself and not really care? But in the beginning of the fight, I'll let you go first with what I just said, Joey. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, yeah, and just touching base on the scale, just to begin with, I know they said that the scale was fine, but from the reports that I'm reading, um, they were saying that the scale itself was out front was fine. The
Mhm.
issue was the scale in the back. So they had a digital scale in the back that would tell the fighters their weight before they went out to let them know if they were on weight or off weight. From what I'm reading,
Mhm.
the scale in the back told him he was on weight.
Wow. Okay.
That's why he was so shocked when he went out front to the crowd to do the weigh-ins, and he was off weight, and you just hate to see it. Non-championship fight,
Right.
that weight is fine. He makes weight and you move on and the fight goes on. No, not a hitch to be done. Just to, and I get it, you're a professional, you have to make weight and you have to, but for 0.5 pounds to lose the belt,
Yeah.
lose at
Right.
least 20% of your purse when you're making over $1 million for a fight, it
Mhm.
just sucks for a guy who's been grinding for as long as Oliveira has. See, and again, I know you're professional. I know your job is to make weight. If I don't do my job, but at the same time, if it was something as small of a fraction as a half a pound in my field, my boss would look the other way and let me move on. Unfortunately, in the UFC, you have commission and stuff like that. You can't look the other way. But it's just you just feel for the guy. But getting back to the fight, I love that, and I love Gaethje. I love that the whole top of that division. They're all just warriors.
It's that.
But but Gaethje, the whole week leading up to it, was calling Oliveira a quitter. He was telling him he quits. He has that quit mentality in him. And then
Mhm.
for Oliveira to get his back and then force Gaethje to tap out was just like a fairy tale story almost. You were
Yeah.
talking all that crap that he was a quitter all week, and then he made you quit in the ring.
It
So
was sort of
that
like
that to me was
yeah,
just great.
yeah, exactly. It was sort of like, the bully in the playground, you're talking all this crap, and then all of a sudden, the bully gets beat up, like the trash talking event there. It was huge. I enjoyed it. Like, I love the story of this, this whole line that we're talking about here, because to me, there was a lot of, I want to say speculation that this fight would have went either way, but I think Oliveira, in my opinion, I think he would have won anyway, no matter what, even if he wasn't stripped of the title. But the way he came out with this fight, Joey, like in the beginning of the round, I thought, okay, Gaethje's going to win this fight. I mean, there was some clear punches right to his head, to the dome. He was definitely dazed, but within like 35 seconds, Joey, Oliveira just stepped up and turned it on. There was a light switch in his head, and like, you know what? Yeah, you might have stripped me of the title, but I'm going to show you who the damn champion is right here. And
Yeah,
to
no, I agree.
and to submit him on his back, and there was a lot of people that said he didn't tap out. Joey, we watched this video a couple times earlier, and there was a clear tap.
Yeah.
My man went night night really quick.
Yeah, he looked like he tapped and then went out, but he
Yeah.
definitely tapped. He definitely tapped. And speaking of what you're talking about Gaethje rocking him early on, I think any other fighter, I think Gaethje gets the finish, but
Yeah.
Oliveira is so good on his back and
Mm,
can submit you any way he wants once he's on the ground with you,
right.
that I think Gaethje was a little fearful of
Yeah.
engaging on the floor, even if Oliveira was rocked,
Right.
because if you go down there and he recovers, you're in danger. So I think that played a huge part, just because, like I said, Gaethje did not want to engage. He had him dropped. I think it was definitely twice. If I believe it was at least 3 times, um, and all 3 times he did not want to engage. It was like a standing 10 count in boxing almost. Like the
Yeah.
refs told him stand up. Like you don't see that. And just because of how good he is on his back, at taking your back, it just really changed the fight overall.
Yeah, that was clear in the video we showed when, when Gaethje rocked him one time and he went down, Oliveira went down, he was on his back, and a normal fighter, that's you feel blood in the water right there. You're gonna
Yeah,
go for the attack and put him down.
especially Gaethje.
And Gaethje didn't do it. I mean, he's in his mind, I think there was mind games like, if I go down, I know this dude can, submit me at any cause anytime he wants to. So I'm just gonna let him get up and take my chances for another takedown where I can just go to the takedown and hold him, or ground and pound, whatever I have to do. But Oliveira had so much time where he was just kicking his leg, like, "Are you gonna come and get me? Oh, I got time to stand up. Okay,
Like goading him in, like, come on, come engage.
you gave me another life here. I'm just gonna sit here for 5 seconds, gather my thoughts real quick. You rocked me, but guess what? Here it comes." And you're right, Joey. I think that wasn't Gaethje. To me, I mean, I go back to the Rose fight. Was Gaethje a little bit in his mindset thinking like, I gotta I this dude's a totally different animal. I'm not used to this type of animal. What do I do? Do I just go to a different, route? Like a southpaw boxer does in boxing. Do they change their whole format for one fighter? And I think that's what cost him, Joey, because I felt blood in the water right there. I'm thinking like, oh my God, this could
Yeah.
be over in the first round. Gaethje, he won the title no matter what, but dude, you just made a clear judgment right here that you are for real. This was your chance, and you did let it slip away by
Yeah.
not attacking.
Yeah, I think Gaethje was definitely in his own head. I think Gaethje going into the fight,
Mhm.
unless he had him rocked to the point where like couple ground and pounds and he would have been done with,
Right.
which he didn't have him in that first round. I think Gaethje went in there thinking that I have to knock him out cold because if I'm getting him to the ground, I put myself in danger
Right.
of getting caught, which
Yeah.
is hard to do, especially in MMA. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't most of the knockouts are TKOs where they get them to the ground,
Mhm.
and then the ref steps in to stop it,
Exactly.
which
You
I
might
don't
get
think you're going to be able to. Yeah, like the Ferguson fight, but I
Mhm.
don't think Gaethje. I think Gaethje went in there thinking from the jump that he had to KO him to win that fight because if it went to the ground, he's in trouble.
Agree with that 100%. I mean, you hate to see, like this clearly didn't go to the judges. We already seen that, but to me, I hate seeing a fight being judged by the mindset of the fighter itself, switching up how they fight. Like I would love to see Gaethje just go in there and try to finish him on the ground. I would love to
Yeah.
see that and watch Oliveria, excuse me, Oliveria's ground game. Was he the submission was just insane, Joey. I mean, within a matter of 45 to a minute after that he was rocked on the ground, it was just like a switch in his head where it just turned around. And I don't know. I mean, this was a fight that I was waiting, and waiting to see, especially after that Namajunas fight. And the way it ended, like, how do you feel with Oliveira or Gaethje? How do you feel? Like, is there a better storyline for you on each one? How do you feel about that on both aspects?
I feel for Oliveira just because I mean, leading up to that fight, we're saying how many more championship wins does he need to maybe
Hmm.
surpass Khabib or maybe bring Khabib out, and now it's like that whole mindset just changes to now it's like, all right, well, who are we gonna have Oliveira fight to unify those belts? It just really sucks for him for less than a pound. So it's just that's horrible. But the
Right.
fight overall, I think leading up to it, we talked about it. We thought it was a pick'em fight just because
Yeah.
Gaethje has that leave on your own shield, give it your all and just go for broke pretty much. And I think that was Oliveira's mindset. Also, you could see they were both just banging in there. But the one thing that really stood out to me in this fight was one point Gaethje rocked Oliveira, and Oliveira literally tried to pull guard standing up while he was rocked to
Hmm.
kind of make him initiate the guard on the ground,
Right.
which was really shocking to me. Just because you're rocked and you're trying to pull guard to let him get top control, which was shocking to me.
Yeah.
But Gaethje fought back and didn't want top control, wanted to keep it on the feet because obviously we see why.
Hmm.
Oliveira is he's just otherworldly in that division. Um, with submissions. It's just he's put in the work, and people want to look back at like talking about like Khabib and oh, can Oliveira beat Khabib? They're like, oh well, he got finished in 2018. What's
Hmm.
going to change now? And you're like, Oliveira's put in 4 years of grind. He's put in 4 years
Right.
of improving his skills.
Hmm.
2018 was 4 years ago. That's a world ago in the world of
Exactly.
MMA. I mean,
Exactly.
he put in the work. He invested himself into being a champion, and now he's at the highest point when for a while they're looking, he was just going to be a gatekeeper in the UFC, and he's
Right.
finally at the top of the mountain, which is it's just great to see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he put in the work, man. You built the foundation. 4 years ago is a long damn time. 4 years ago is history in this. A year ago is history. Some of these fighters, like what happened last event, UFC 273. Nobody's really talking about that. It's 274, and it's just it's every fight, here. But all that it's insane. Oliveira just proved the point. But Gaethje's the champion, so let's
No,
just talk.
he's not the champion.
Yeah, I know he's.
So the belt was on the line still.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oliveira couldn't win it. Only Gaethje could win it.
Right, right. So it's
Because Gaethje
yeah,
lost, no one's champion.
right. Okay. So
So it's
what?
just up in the air. So technically, Oliveira's number one contender.
Okay, are we going to run this back, Joey?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Just because you have Poirier sitting there. You have Chandler came up and pressed to win. I mean, we've already seen that fight, but we have Chandler now sitting there. We still have Islam sitting there. We still have Muhammad sitting there. There's so much going on in that division. It's just it's crazy. I mean, I can't even speak. It's just the
Joe, there's a
contenders.
fight that I definitely want to see. I want to see Islam fight this guy next.
I do too, but it's hard. I mean, I understand he's on such a long win streak, and I understand that it's impressive that you win that many fights in a row in the UFC.
Yeah,
But I mean, the impressive name he maybe beat was Hooker, which Hooker is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't beaten those marquee names um, that you would say like, okay, he's now a title contender. He's great. He's wrestling. It would be a great matchup to see. Islam is a great wrestler. Oliveira is great at submissions. Does Islam try to take it to the ground and maybe risk getting caught by Oliveira? Don't get me wrong. Islam also has some submission games as it is, but Oliveira is just a step above everyone. That would
yeah,
be a great stylistic matchup, but it's just hard to see Dana giving him a fight just because to the casuals, and I think Dana caters a lot to casuals because
right,
that's a lot of times who's going to push the pay-per-view numbers over the bar and not
right,
just have the regular UFC fans buying the pay-per-views. The casuals don't know Islam as much as everyone else. I think you need to put him in a marquee fight against a big name fighter, against a Dustin Poirier, against a Chandler Jones, against a Gaethje, where everyone knows who that other guy is. So that way
right.
they can see that this guy's legit and that they can get hype for an Oliveira Islam fight. Um, Oliveira was calling for Islam to fight one of those top guys in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
top five, and then he said, "I'll fight you in December-ish in Brazil," which would be
Okay,
wild to have Oliveira in his home country,
that's insane.
fighting for the belt because it would be a title fight because obviously Oliveira is now number one contender, even though never
Mhm.
lost the belt. But
Right.
I mean, I would like that. I would hate to see Oliveira be off from May till December. But
Yeah,
if that's what it's gonna take to get Oliveira's nutrition right to avoid having to take that extra hour in the weight cuts,
yeah.
so be it. But there's just so many good fights. But you know what's funny to me, Paul, about the whole top of the division? You're talking about Chandler, you're talking about Poirier, you're talking about um, Gaethje. Our local guy, Eddie Alvarez, he fought all those guys.
Yeah, he
Uh,
has something in common with all these fighters. I mean, I would
yeah,
love to hear
he
his take on
he
this.
I reached out to him actually on Twitter. I'm seeing if he's gonna respond back. He liked it. Hopefully, I get a response back. I asked him what he thought this division, how it was gonna play out. It's just funny,
Okay.
he beat Chandler. It was pre UFC, it was Bellator, but he
Right.
beat Chandler. He had a great fight with Dustin until the knee with the downed opponent, the knee, like that controversy. And they had a good second fight.
Mhm.
And then he beat Gaethje in a war. So I reached out to him just to see. I didn't get any response back. Hopefully by next week we get a response to see what he says. But he was just a great insight to reach out to. Uh, it was
Yeah, I
just
would love
funny
to hear
to think about that, like a local guy,
I
fought
would
all these
definitely
guys.
I would definitely love to hear his intake. Eddie Alvarez, if you're out there listening or anybody, shout him out, tag him in this. Let's hear what he can give us his input because, like you said, he's been there in that octagon with this guy, and I would love to hear his take on what Oliveira maybe does next, what Gaethje does next, what Chandler
Yeah,
does next. I mean, like we said, this division is stacked. So I would love to hear someone that's been in the ring. We can talk about the fight, we watch the fight, we give our opinions, but to have someone in the ring give their opinion to
yeah,
what they've seen, ground and pound, stand up game and even preparing for it, even nutrition wise, head games, everything it matters. I would love to hear Eddie Alvarez. So if you're out there, man, please give Joey Woods, a tweet back and talk to him about it. We would
Fight
love to
Club. No, 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 not Joey Wood. Fight Club 215 on Twitter.
on the Twitter account. Okay, Joey, there we
Yeah.
go. Yes. Hey, Eddie Alvarez, thank you for tuning into that. We appreciate that, man. Love to have you on here one day, hopefully. Yes. But
Yeah, yeah, it
in
was
this
cool. I was I was like a little schoolgirl when I saw that he liked my tweet, because Eddie and like a local around here. I
yeah.
mean, not even just local, just in the MMA game overall, he's a legend. The underground king. So it was
Mhm.
pretty cool. But getting back to Oliveira, getting back to what happens there, um, I think Oliveira waits. I think Dana told him if you watch that fight back, he
Mhm.
ran out of the cage, ran over to Dana and said, "Give me my belt." Dana tells him, "You missed weight. It's not your belt anymore. You're
Right.
number one contender, but it's not your belt." So I think Oliveira sits back. I think he waits to see how the smoke settles with that top of
Yeah.
the division, which is the smart thing to do because he's beaten the top of that division.
Yes.
So let it smoke settle, let it clear. I think we need
Well,
for
now we
some
look at
reason.
Oliver has beaten Justin Gaethje. He's beaten, Dustin
Yeah,
Poirier. He's beaten, the top 2 and 3 contenders, but just like you said with Islam, yeah, he's 22-1, Joey. Okay, he's 22-1, yes, but truthfully, who has he fought? Just like you said, Green, Hooker, Moasis, I believe it was, and a guy named Dober or something like that. We know what his record stands, but he's only been on one true UFC main card. He's been on the UFC Fight Night on his last fight. But I think you're right. I think he needs time to have the viewers out there say, "Who is this guy?" Yes, oh, he's 22-1. But what is he about? You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
don't
he's
want him
not
to
he's not known enough yet. That's
yeah, I
that's
don't
the
want
only
him to
thing.
go yeah, I don't want him now I think about it truthfully, I don't want him to go against Oliveira simply because the fact that, yeah, you're 22-1, you know, you're the next standout, I wanna say record guy, right now, on your win streak, but then let's say you get knocked out by Oliveira. You're gonna be a has-been for a while. You're gonna drop down, like, then people's gonna realize
Yeah,
the
it
record the
hurts.
record the record it was the record that got him this fight. It wasn't the, the reputation of what you do in the ring. Who have you fought? What have you done? So I agree. Now I think about it, Joey. I kind of like what you said about that because that fact right there. Who has he fought? And is the record legit? Let's put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, I was looking up while you were speaking, I was looking up the updated rankings for that division. Um,
I give Poirier
because
HE3 Islam 4, I
they
think.
have Oliveira 1 because he can't have him as champion. Obviously, he has to be number 1 contender. They have
Right.
Poirier 2, Gaethje 3, Islam 4, Chandler 5, and then Dariush 6, which is a little disrespectful just because Dariush has been on a run lately. I
Right.
wouldn't mind seeing maybe Oliveira sitting back. I don't think Poirier deserves a title shot yet, again, just because we've already seen that.
Right.
I
Right.
don't think Chandler deserves a title shot again yet, just because we've already seen that. Obviously, Gaethje doesn't deserve a title shot. I think Oliveira should sit back. I think Dariush and Islam should fight. That should be like a number 1 contender type fight. Winner of
Okay.
that then fights Oliveira later on this year. I think that's a fight you have to make. You had Chandler calling out Diaz, which
Right.
would be a good fight. Chandler Diaz that would sell. That would sell numbers. I doesn't seem like the way Chandler was talking on Twitter and stuff. He's really interested in the
Hmm.
belt at this time. I think he wants to kind of make some money right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's that. Um, I don't know what would be next for Gaethje and Poirier. I mean Poirier and Colby got their beef going on, but Poirier's adamant that it's just too personal for him to step in the cage with someone when you have that
Hmm.
kind of emotion. I mean, I don't know if you follow that at all, but Colby's been like talking about his family, his kid,
Yeah, I
his
didn't
wife,
do that. Mhm.
like very personal stuff, which makes sense to me. Like it's hard to step in the cage and do a job because honestly, at the end of the day, UFC is a job.
Right.
Step in the cage with someone a job when you're that heated and that angry
Mhm.
and that you hate someone that much. It's hard to stick to your game plan. So I get that. So it's very interesting to see what they do with that fight. And then obviously the name that everyone wants to know what's going to happen is McGregor. He hasn't quite
Yeah.
yeah he hasn't quite he hasn't quite returned back to the USADA commission yet in terms of
Mhm.
because you need to be in a couple cycles for the drug testing before you're able to get a fight. He hasn't re-entered that yet since the last Poirier fight. So we have obviously had to do that before he would ever come back. Um, but like Oliveira put a tweet up to Dana, let me beat Diaz and McGregor in the same fight, and then McGregor tweeted something like something like shut up or something like that. Like I forget exactly his wording, but McGregor responded back to him. So obviously McGregor's on Oliveira's radar. Why wouldn't he? I mean, he's the cash cow. But it's just so interesting at the top. I just don't know what they do there.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier now with that vacated belt for McGregor to kind of
Yeah.
slip in there. I mean, I love McGregor, but as a fan of the UFC overall, it'd be a little hard to justify him fighting for a belt off of 2 straight losses.
Well, I'm looking at something now, Joe. And like I said, we're betting men. I do DraftKings and like 3 other sites, and I wanted to show you this a little bit earlier, but we'll talk about it a little bit. December 31st, DraftKings already has a fight with odds. Did you see this or not?
Is it McGregor Oliveira?
Nope, it's McGregor Chandler.
Well, Chandler called him out after the fight, so that makes sense.
And then
I
they have
wouldn't
the
mind seeing that.
Diaz as well. Poirier and Diaz as well, same night.
Well, they have it December 31st just because from what I remember, just because it's not a disclosed
Right.
thinks it is, put that as a template uh date just so that people can bet on it, but I don't think it's. But it's
It's not
just, I
set in
mean,
stone, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but it would just be they would be great fights. I don't know what they do in that division. I really don't. It's so hard. I mean, they're all deserving.
Yeah.
Um,
Joey, I know you're a Conor McGregor fan, and we just talked about Islam. Okay, the record stands 22-1. Okay, let's flip the script here. Conor McGregor, a legend in the game. Okay, put his fandom away, Joey. He's been on the fight for how long now, Joey? How long has he been out now?
it's been almost a full year.
Full
It was
year.
last summer.
His leg and his ankle injury, right? Okay, Joey, does his name bring him back for a UFC undercard? Not, I don't want to say undercard. I want to talk about a top three event. You know, a main, not a main event. I won't give him
Oh,
that.
he would they would make, regardless if it's a title or not, it'd be main event. Just
You
because
really
of who
think
he is. He'd be a main event over a title fight.
you really, Joey? Is that
He
name
has
draw?
to.
That
He
name draw?
Look at every single pay-per-view that he's been
Right.
on, that he's the headlining act, and I think they're at least every single one is top 10 in the UFC history. It's McGregor brings everyone, not just MMA fans. He brings everyone. He's such a polarizing image that he's transcend the sport. Hate to say he's bigger than the sport, but the first thing people think about when they think of UFC and MMA right now is Conor McGregor. And that's not as a fan. That's just legit overall. With Conor McGregor around the game, I mean, he's
Right.
fallen off a little bit because divisions kind of come up around him. But McGregor, if whenever he's fighting, regardless of who's on the card, he's the main event.
I get that, Joey. I understand that point. You know, he is one of, I want to say he's like a in basketball, he's like a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson back in the day. He revitalized that pretty much everything to put him on the map. He's one of like the grandfathers of the game. I
Yeah.
understand that. But how do you think, Joey, as you know, looking at, let's just say you and I are fighters, Joey, and we're in the same division, and you're ranked 9, I'm ranked 10, and this cat comes in here off a year layoff and says, yeah, well, the dude called him out. I want to fight him, Dana. I want to fight him. UFC 280. Let's make it happen, or whatever it is. How do you think you and I feel sitting at 9-10 with a 10-1 record and a 11-1 record? How do you think we feel, Joey? What the hell do we have to do to move up in this division? Why we can't get that top 5 fight? And my man Connor's been off for a year. He comes in here
Is he
because
still in the rankings?
who? No, he's not even in the top 10, Joey.
He's 9 right now.
Is he really? I didn't even see it. Is
Yeah,
he?
he's top 10. But getting to what you said, sorry, getting to what you said, it sucks. It does. It does really. It's really shitty situation.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, like every sports league, it's a business first,
Right. Yeah.
and business is booming when his name is on the card. I mean,
Oh, I
like he
agree.
said before, it's when he fights you, it's red panty night. He changes your life. Like it's not. I mean, I know he just said that, but it's not just a saying. Like he
Right.
changes someone's life when you fight him.
Oh, agreed.
Um,
Agreed.
your whole family's life. It's just the payday when you fight him is totally different.
Oh, I
Um, so yeah, it sucks, but if I'm in the division and I'm 10, um, I want McGregor to succeed because if I keep working my way up, maybe I'll get that shot at him. Maybe I'll get that payday. I mean, we see these fighters all the time that are complaining about paydays. UFC's not making enough. He's the one guy who brings in that money to make enough. So
mhm.
everyone wants to name on there. I saw a tweet earlier, and it was really the truth when you think about it. This dude hasn't won a fight in the UFC in I think 4 years.
I thought I was gonna say
I
3. Yeah.
think his last win was Cerrone. Was that 2019 or 2018?
Cerrone fight, I
It
think that was
was
19, I believe, Joey.
I think it's almost 4 years now. He hasn't
Mhm.
won a fight in the UFC in 4 years.
Mm.
Um, and from the 125 division and Henry Cejudo,
Joey, that was January 18th, 2020, his Cerrone fight.
so 2 years. He hasn't won
Mm.
a fight in 2 years in the
It was
UFC.
it was the Khabib fight. He won a Cerrone fight in 2020. He lost to Khabib in 18. He won Eddie Alvarez in 16, and it was a win versus Diaz in 16 as well.
Yeah, so he hasn't won a fight in 2 years.
Right.
And he hasn't really. I mean, Cerrone is a good fighter, but Cerrone's at the end of his career. He hasn't won a meaningful fight
Right.
since Alvarez and Diaz. So but from 125 all the way to 180, all the top guys are calling him out. You got Usman getting in spats with him. You got Cejudo getting in spats with him. You got Oliveira getting in spats with him because they all know that he brings the money. I
I don't
mean,
want to say I don't want to say it like this, but it's like when you fight Conor McGregor, you go from welfare to the penthouse, basically. With that
yeah,
name, that's what it's going to be. Because, like you said, it is a life changer, Joe. If we got in the ring with him, my studio would be a lot better than what I'm in right now. I would have the $1 million set up. I would have all the UFC fighters sitting next to me, calling Conor McGregor out for that next meal ticket. But I agree with that. I mean, I agree with both points. I mean, I feel for the fighters, but the UFC is a business, man. They have to pay the billboards. They have to pay the ring. They have to pay the fighters. So what's best for the UFC Foundation is the guy on the screen right now, Conor McGregor. He
yeah.
is the name draw, and it's just like, hey, you know what? You don't like it, you can go somewhere else. But one day
That's
you might.
exactly how Dana feels too. I think.
I think it is too. I mean, I really like to hear him personally, his opinion about it. But of course, he can't say like, this is the way it is. But he'll lose fighters or whatever. But
I think he would say that though. Knowing,
knowing him,
listen
he
to
probably
Dana
would.
talk and stuff. I think he would
Yeah,
say like, you don't like it, see ya. This is
yeah.
the like he would literally probably say that this is the big league. If you don't like it, hit the road. Like that would be literally something he would say from his mouth.
Exactly, and the words he would say, we had probably had to cut out and put a little, little beep on there the way he would speak, but he would just tell you, "Get the hell out of the door and don't come
Yeah.
back." Like, "You don't like it, this is my thing, get the hell out of here," in a kind way, I guess, but,
Have you seen what he tweeted recently, like in the past 2 hours or so, or 3
yeah,
hours?
I was busy doing something else, Joey, this weekend.
He was pretty much like busting on Oliveira, like saying, I bet you're so happy about that $1 million payday because the reports are that he made just under 1 million because um
What was it, 20% that he loses? Was he if he's any kind of like a, restriction, is it 20% or 25%
I
that he loses?
think it I think it was I think for some reason I think it's 20 to 30% that they lose of their purse. Because of missing weight. I was looking at before this to try to see the exact amount. I couldn't find the exact amount. Typically, it's 20 to 30, but
Mhm.
that because of that fight purse loss, he just missed that payday. McGregor was kind of like circling, like sarcastically saying, "Congrats on your payday! Like you just missed out on all that money because you couldn't make weight." So that was pretty funny. But then also he posted a picture of Gaethje tapping out saying, "Look at this look at this quitter, talking about everyone else pretty much like you tapped out." Like so it's pretty funny. He's just calling everyone out also. He's getting all of his ducks in a row for when he is
Right.
ready to come back. Everyone's chomping at the bits to fight him.
Okay. We were talking about UFC, we were talking about the women's division, Joey, and I just actually looked at something on, when I brought up that name, Weili Zhang. She's actually fighting in 275 as
Is
the
she?
third. Yeah, she's fighting Joanna Jerzadek. She's fighting her.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's. I mean, maybe they're looking at like, okay, you know what?
that's probably a title eliminator.
That's what I'm thinking. It's gonna be a countdown to the next title fight. If she can win this, then she'll definitely move. Who knows? She might even move ahead of Rose because I think Rose stays one, and her at two. I think she might jump Rose. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the winner of that jumps Rose.
That's what I'm thinking. Like right there, whoever wins this fight will be the second contender, and they'll fight. I think they won't go for the title first. I think they become one and two, and then they maybe 3 months down the line, then they go after Esparza. But I think it's
I
gonna be
think
like,
they fought before, Paul, them too.
did they?
If you have your computer up right now, search their name and
Mhm.
then search Bubble.
Okay. Let me look.
Wait till you see Joanna's head.
Oh, you want me to look up her?
J- Joanna versus and I don't know how to pronounce her name too well.
Jerzadeniak or something like that. Let's see. What am I looking up here, Joe? You said?
Or look up Joanna's head when they
Oh
fought.
my lord!
Did you see that? She's like
If I
another head there.
would love to see if I can pop this on the screen. That second image, Joey, that I'm looking at right now. Joey, I don't even. There's a word that I want to say. She sort of looks like ET. She sort of looks like ET with that bump, that extra, yeah, the extra noggin on the side. Oh my god!
That was
Remind
when
me,
she fought her last.
remind me next week because we're going to talk about UFC 275. We're still about 3 weeks out from that, but we'll bring that up next week on our topic. Remind me to put that image on the screen of her. Oh my god, that's
That's bad,
That's
right? That's
that's probably what Tony Ferguson's jaw looked like, an extra, a jaw line on there or something. That was insane. Oh my god.
Did you get a chance to catch the Ultimate Fighter by any chance?
I did see the first fight, Joe. I remember the names, but I did see the one guy, what was his name? Rafi or something like that. Rafi, I think his name was.
Yeah,
Was that
I forget their names, but it was a pretty good fight.
It was, yeah. That was a good fight. I caught it a couple of days ago. I was streaming it, and it was pretty good. I know it's on tonight, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow night. It was, going there, but I did watch episode one, and it actually was pretty good. The
Yeah, I
first
was
one.
shocked to see because I didn't know Usman's brother
I
was
didn't either. I
active in the
didn't
sport either, and that a heavyweight also.
either. Yeah.
That was pretty cool to see. Looks like he gets
I didn't
into a little bit of a dispute in the trailers they're showing for upcoming weeks.
Oh, wow.
Um, looks like he gets into a little bit of a spat, so that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, because
That has to be hard though.
yeah, name wise, that's because they did name drop him when he was picked, and as he was going up, the two fighters were saying that that's Kamaru Usman's brother, and the
Yeah.
one like, what? Like you think like, oh god, this genetic tree that from Kamaru Usman, and you got his little brother in here, like
Who's a heavyweight?
heavyweight, he's gonna knock the hell out of us, like
It's probably
the
hard to live up to that though, you know? It's just like you have to have that
exact
expectation always
right,
of live
right.
up to your brother because your brother is one of the best to ever do it. And then
Mhm.
if you're not up to par, it's like, well, what happened? You know, it's like it's gotta have its ups and downs because it probably opens some doors for you, but it probably makes it harder
Yeah,
once those doors
it
open.
can shut a lot of doors first. If you lose your first fight or you don't live up to expectation, that door could be shut just as fast as the door being open
Yeah,
for
your
you.
leash is a lot smaller.
Exactly. Like I know I've known you, Joey, for years and years, over 2 decades basically, and I know you have 2 brothers, Shawnee and Chris out there, and you're the older brother, and, I've coached you longer than I actually coached, Chris one time, and, like, who's the strongest brother in that whole group, Joey?
We're not gonna no comment on that.
No comment. See, we don't even did you lose connection, Joey? I just lost you
Yeah,
or what?
yeah.
No, but if you guys don't know Joey, man, Joey was a freaking animal, man. This boy played football, every sport out there, and he was an animal, man. I'm waiting to, he's the hitman. That's why I call him the hitman because look, man, if he gets you in the ring and look, it's gonna be lights out if Joey gets pissed off. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But Joey, I mean, we'll talk about UFC 275 coming up on our next show. But is there anything else you want to add, Joey? I mean, this week was just insane with the Canelo fight and UFC 274. UFC is on its way up, and so is boxing, man. I just love doing this because it's a time where I can come on here and just give you my opinion, your opinion, and me. And it's one hell of a time, talking UFC, boxing with you, Joe. I enjoy this, man.
No, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree, and definitely great to just talk about the amazing events from this weekend.
Right.
Amazing knockouts, and just hyper to see the outcomes, what's gonna transpire in the division and in UFC overall coming up. It's just so many great possibility of fights in
I agree with
that top five, and then you have Diaz and McGregor who aren't in that top five, but when you add them to the mix, it's just like what happens there, and it's just really going to be interesting. Uh,
exactly. That division, like we talked about, Joey, that division is totally entirely stacked. And even if Connor comes back, my God, that's like the cherry on top of this division.
yeah,
It's just you know what? You can get rid of all the other divisions and just let this division run, and it would be like cream of the crop because that is a drawer right there. I mean, with the top from 1 to 10, and with Connor being involved, it could be insane, man. It could be UFC this division only. Put it that way.
yeah. I love to see. I mean, at this point, it's like you almost wish they went back to the old UFC where they had the tournaments because like
Uh,
it's just like everyone's just so good in that at that top six at least.
Yeah,
Everyone's just like so right there. It's just like everyone has a legitimate. I mean, outside of Gaethje, who just lost,
right.
but he lost it. He got caught, but it wasn't like he got obliterated. Everyone in that top six has a legitimate stake to say they should be fighting
Yeah,
for the belt.
I deserve it. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Well, Joey, let me say this real quick before we get out of here. Listen, I want you to tell everybody out there where can Fight Club 215 be found at, Joey?
So there's actually a lot of new opportunities here for Fight Club 215. Recently, we were able to get on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. They'll probably be be able to be viewed as of Wednesday because it takes a little bit of time for us to upload it after we're done here on Tuesday nights. But we're still at our same spots live, YouTube on Fight Club 215 and also Devereaux Sports. This week I know we weren't on Facebook, but I'm not. Are we going to be going back to Facebook?
Now, the reason why we're adjusting off Facebook, Joey, is as I said on my other show, Facebook is actually stopping podcasts. I believe it's June 3rd. So we're actually going to be stopping there, and we're going to upload all of our shows to Fight Club 215. We've been live on YouTube, like you said, but anything that we missed, we're going to upload definitely. We always episode everything. This is episode 4, so all 1, 2, and 3 will be on there for your convenience. But yeah, we're going to stop Facebook, Joey. We'll be on Devereaux Sports Facebook page on YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube, and also on their Twitch channel on Devereaux Sports. But
Okay.
we are actually making a Fight Club 215 Twitch page, if I believe. Is that correct?
So that's already been made.
Okay.
I know you said that you had like a lot of accounts up there, so you weren't able to
Right.
do it live, but we're gonna upload them after the show's over. We're gonna work on it to see if we
Yes.
can try to get it live every week now that we're no longer doing Facebook. So we'll see with that. But also we have Twitter, Fight Club 215, Fight Club _ 215, Facebook, not Facebook. I'm sorry, Twitter, Instagram, same name on both. Check us out there. We try to post some news, what's going on, just let you know what our next show's coming up, what our topics might be.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, we'll always post on the Devereaux Sports Facebook page also some upcoming news, maybe some breaking news with UFC, stuff like that. So check us out on there also.
All right, great. And also, before we get out of here, the reason why we're not on Facebook anymore is I do other shows on Devereaux Sports. So, real quick, I'm just going to give you the Devereaux Sports lineup. You can check out all of our shows on Devereaux Sports on YouTube and Twitch beginning Sundays at 9 a.m. with the Gobbler Inc. with Pat Bernard. And of course, on Mondays, we have 6 p.m. the Sully Squad with my main man, Joe Sullivan, aka The John. They will talk everything from Sixers, Flyers, and if you check them out next week, I think they still might be heated from the Sixer loss tonight. Tuesdays, of course, we have our show, which you're already checking into. And Joey already told you where he can find you. Every Tuesday at 10:15, the Fight Club 215 with Joey the Hitman Wood and myself, Paul the Joker Spencer. And tomorrow night, you can check all you Cowboys fans or any NFL fans tomorrow night at 9 p.m. The 215 Boys with myself and my man Matt Klein. All these shows, like Joey just said, you can find us on Devereaux Sports and their own sites, which Joey just mentioned on all social media accounts. So if you like what you see, just remember there's 3 things we ask you. Like, share, and subscribe to all of our shows out there. For myself, Joey Woods, and myself, listen, we'll see you next week. So all you fight fans out there, have a good night.